Hey listeners, welcome back to Kuma English Listening Hub. Today, we're diving into a rich, aromatic topic that connects farmers, baristas, office workers, and students all over the world: coffee. From the hillside farms where the beans are grown to the cafes where we sip our lattes, coffee has a surprisingly complex global journey. In this episode, we'll explore how coffee is produced, traded, and consumed, and what this everyday drink can tell us about globalization, culture, and sustainability. Section 1: A brief history of coffee. Let's start with a quick journey back in time. Legend has it that coffee was discovered in Ethiopia hundreds of years ago, when a goat herder noticed that his goats became unusually energetic after eating red berries from a particular shrub. Curious, local monks began experimenting with the beans, eventually roasting and brewing them into a drink that helped them stay awake during long hours of prayer. From Ethiopia, coffee spread across the Arabian Peninsula, becoming central to social life in cities like Mecca and Istanbul. Coffee houses appeared as public spaces where people discussed politics, philosophy, and news. Over time, coffee traveled to Europe, the Americas, and eventually to almost every corner of the world, turning into a truly global commodity. Today, coffee is one of the most widely traded agricultural products on the planet. Millions of people depend on it for their livelihood, and billions drink it every single day. Section 2: Where coffee grows. Now, let's talk about where coffee actually comes from. Coffee plants grow best in what's often called the coffee belt, the region around the equator between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Countries like Brazil, Colombia, Ethiopia, Vietnam, and Indonesia are some of the major coffee producers. Most of the world's coffee is grown on small farms rather than huge industrial plantations. Many farmers work on just a few hectares of land, often on steep hillsides. They rely on a delicate balance of rainfall, shade, and soil quality to keep their coffee trees healthy. There are two main species of coffee that you've probably heard of: Arabica and Robusta. Arabica beans usually grow at higher altitudes and are considered to have a more complex, nuanced flavor. Robusta beans are hardier, contain more caffeine, and are often used in instant coffee or espresso blends. When you buy coffee, you might see labels like 100% Arabica to signal a certain level of quality and taste. Climate change is already affecting where coffee can grow. Rising temperatures, unpredictable rainfall, and new plant diseases make it harder for farmers to produce consistent, high-quality beans. In some regions, farmers are being forced to move to higher altitudes or switch to other crops altogether. Section 3: From cherry to green bean. So how does a bright red coffee cherry become the green bean that gets shipped around the world? After the cherries are harvested, usually by hand, they go through a process to remove the outer layers and reveal the bean inside. There are two main methods: the washed process and the natural process. In the washed process, the cherries are pulped to remove the skin and most of the fruit. The beans are then fermented in water to break down any remaining sticky layers, washed again, and finally dried in the sun or in mechanical dryers. In the natural process, the whole cherries are spread out on raised beds or patios and left to dry with the fruit still attached. Workers regularly turn the cherries so that they dry evenly. Once they reach the right level of dryness, the outer layers are removed to reveal the beans. These processing methods have a real impact on flavor. Washed coffees are often described as cleaner and brighter, with more acidity. Natural coffees can taste fruitier, sometimes with berry or wine-like notes. After drying, the beans are sorted, graded, and packed into large sacks. At this stage, they're called green coffee, and they're ready for export. Section 4: The global coffee trade. The next part of the journey takes place on a massive scale: international trade. Green coffee is shipped from producing countries in Latin America, Africa, and Asia to consuming countries in Europe, North America, and beyond. In many cases, farmers sell their coffee to local buyers, who then pass it on to exporters. Large trading companies purchase huge quantities of coffee and sell it to roasters around the world. Traditionally, coffee prices have been set on international commodity markets. This can be a problem for small farmers, because global prices are extremely volatile. A sudden drop in price can mean that farmers earn less than the cost of production, even if they worked hard and produced high-quality beans. This is where concepts like fair trade and direct trade come in. Fair trade schemes aim to guarantee a minimum price to farmers, along with additional premiums that can be invested in community projects, such as schools or clean water systems. Direct trade, on the other hand, involves roasters buying coffee directly from farmers or cooperatives, often paying higher prices in exchange for exceptional quality and long-term relationships. These efforts don't solve every problem, but they can improve transparency and give producers a bit more stability in a market that is often unpredictable. Section 5: Roasting. Science meets art. Once the green beans arrive in the consuming country, they meet someone very important in the coffee chain: the roaster. Roasting transforms the hard, green beans into the aromatic brown beans we're familiar with. During roasting, the beans go through a series of chemical reactions. They lose moisture, expand, and develop complex flavors and aromas. Roasts are often described as light, medium, or dark. Light roasts tend to highlight the original characteristics of the bean, such as fruity or floral notes. Medium roasts try to balance acidity, sweetness, and body. Dark roasts emphasize deeper, roasted flavors like chocolate and caramel, but they can also mask some of the bean's original character. Roasters must make careful decisions about temperature, time, and airflow. Just a few seconds can make a noticeable difference in flavor. For many specialty coffee shops, roasting is a combination of science, craftsmanship, and intuition. Section 6: Brewing and Culture. Now we've finally reached the part most of us are familiar with: brewing and drinking. Around the world, people prepare coffee in a variety of ways: espresso, pour over, French press, Turkish coffee, cold brew, and many more. Each method brings out different aspects of the coffee's flavor. For example, espresso uses pressure to extract flavor quickly, resulting in a concentrated, intense shot. Pour-over methods, where hot water slowly passes through a filter of ground coffee, often produce a cleaner, more delicate cup. But coffee is more than just a beverage. It's also a cultural ritual. In Italy, drinking a quick espresso at the bar is part of daily life. In Sweden and Finland, there's a tradition called fika, a coffee break shared with friends or colleagues, usually with a sweet snack. In many Middle Eastern countries, serving coffee is a sign of hospitality and respect. In modern cities around the world, cafes have become important social spaces. People go there to work remotely, meet friends, or simply enjoy a moment of calm. The rise of specialty coffee culture has made people more interested in where their coffee comes from, how it was processed, and who produced it. Section 7: Sustainability and Ethical Questions. However, this global love affair with coffee also raises important questions. First, there's the environmental impact. Coffee farming can lead to deforestation when forests are cleared to plant new coffee trees. Traditional coffee varieties grow under shade trees, which support biodiversity, but some modern high-yield systems remove shade to increase production. This can harm wildlife and reduce ecosystem resilience. Second, there's the human side. Many coffee farmers earn very low incomes and face uncertain futures. Younger generations often leave rural areas because they don't see a stable career in coffee farming. As consumers, we can't solve these problems alone, but we can make more informed choices. Buying coffee that is certified as fair trade, organic, or shade-grown can support better farming practices. Supporting local roasters who build long-term relationships with farmers can also make a difference. In addition, being willing to pay a bit more for coffee and understanding why it costs more can help create a fairer system. After all, behind every cup, there are farmers, pickers, processors, and roasters who have invested a great deal of time and effort. Section 8: Coffee and your English learning. So, how can this topic help you improve your English? Firstly, the coffee industry brings together vocabulary from many areas: agriculture, trade, science, culture, and sustainability. By learning about coffee, You're also expanding your knowledge of global issues and specialized language. Secondly, coffee is a great conversation topic. Almost everyone has an opinion about it, how they drink it, whether they prefer coffee or tea, or how many cups they have per day. You can use coffee as a starting point for discussions about work routines, travel experiences, or environmental concerns. Here are a few questions you can use for speaking practice. How important is coffee in your daily routine? What is the coffee culture like in your country? Do you think it's worth paying more for ethically sourced coffee? Why or why not? If you could visit any coffee-producing country, which one would you choose and why? Try answering these questions aloud or discuss them with a language partner. Focus on expressing complex opinions, giving reasons, and using advanced connectors such as however, on the other hand, and in contrast. Closing. As we've seen, coffee is far more than a simple energy boost. It's the result of a long journey from tropical farms to your favorite mug. Along the way, it reflects history, culture, economics, and the environment. Next time you take a sip, perhaps you'll pause for a moment and think about the farmer who picked the cherries, the roaster who designed the flavor profile, and the barista who prepared your drink. Thanks for listening to Kuma English Listening Hub. If you enjoyed this episode, consider listening again with subtitles to catch any expressions you missed. You can also take notes on new vocabulary and try using it in your own sentences. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and enjoy your next cup of coffee with a new perspective.